Hi, Maureen. Thank you for creating time.
Hi, Dr. Gladys. It's so nice to have this conversation with you. Thanks for inviting me.
Excellent. Sasa, I was telling you I have so many questions, and I'll start by, or we'll talk mostly about the Mandela Rhodes, because I want to talk more about Mandela Rhodes scholarship for the sake of the students who are looking for all kinds of scholarships and opportunities for grad school. But hey, Maureen, oh my goodness, you are highly accomplished. I was checking about you when I was preparing for this episode. I tried noting down the accomplishments you have. I'm not kidding you. I wrote like almost one A4 page.
What? Are you sure you didn't add others?
starting with Google Women Techmaker 2018, first class honors from JQuat Telecom Engineering, Grace Hopper celebration. You attended that. You are a scholar there. 2020 Mozilla Open Leader. You see, you are believing Mandela Rhodes scholar. Oh goodness, and all these mentorship things you do. Talk about the accomplishments you have, and do you have anyone that is outstanding, or the one that you are proud of?
It will be quite difficult to pick one of the many, because I feel like it's just been like a continuous journey where one builds on the other. So perhaps I will start with the Women Techmakers, which was the very first award that I received. This was in 2018. So Women Techmakers is a program whereby they recognize women in technology, in computing, who are doing not just well academically, but also contributing to their communities. So this doesn't have to be something big. You see, when you say you need to be contributing to your community, many people think it has to be a really grand project. At that time, I was just teaching high school students about computers, about introduction to computer science. So that is how the recognition came by. And it's across Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So I think that was the first time that when I applied and got it, it kind of reinforced the confidence and also the trust in me that, apparently these things are not so hard to achieve, and that you're just capable. So that was the beginning of it. And then you also mentioned, that was when I was still in JQuat, because I had not even graduated from my undergrad. You also mentioned the Mandela Rhodes. Yeah, so after graduating from JQuat, where I pursued a bachelor's in telecommunication and information engineering, I was looking for an opportunity to pursue a master's studies. Of course, I really wanted to study in a different country from Kenya, because I wanted to experience a different education system. So at that time, a friend shared with me the Mandela Rhodes application, which was open. So this is a very good scholarship because it not only funds your postgrad, but they also they have a program where they build capacity for young leaders in Africa. So you tend to work in a project that is very meaningful. And then the pillars are also nice, because apart from education, you also look at reconciliation, not just within Africa, in your country, but also in Africa. You look at entrepreneurship. How can you solve problems? So it's a very wholesome scholarship program. So I was selected to be a scholar in 2021, which enabled me to pursue my master's at the University of Cape Town in South Africa. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well done. Your journey is really inspirational. And also because you are a woman in tech, because there are not so many women in engineering, especially like pursuing post-undergraduate. Yeah. So I want you to talk more about, I'll ask you about telecommunication engineering. Why were you interested in telecom? And I'm also curious to know the research you're currently doing. But let's talk more about the Mandela Rhodes. I want you to talk about the application cycle for the audience who are watching and they are interested. I mean, they can Google it, but just tell us a brief, or like when should they watch out for? When is it opening normally during the year? and then also talk about what do they look at, and maybe some application tips that you personally used, or some resources that you used that you think helped you stand out. And then also mention like how many students do they select from Kenya, or is it from Africa? Is it only studying at South Africa? Take the mic and talk more about the Mandela Rhodes for the sake of and put yourself in the shoes. You said someone told you about it, so I want you to put yourself in the shoes of a final year student who is considering doing masters. So take it away.
Okay, so overall, the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship, it was founded to honor the late president of South Africa, Mandela, right?
Yes.
So him as a person, he was a believer of education being used as a tool to transform Africa. So, and that's why this scholarship really looks out for advancing your education while also building a leadership capacity in Africa, because Nelson Mandela believed that the youth should need to be equipped with education, the highest levels of education, so that they can transform their communities. So that is the biggest goal of it. So Mandela Rhodes Scholarship, the applications usually open around March of every year. So I'm sure that the applications for 2025 are now closed. And the application entails, I think, 3 or 4 essay questions. And these are around the pillars of Mandela Rhodes Foundation. So the Mandela Rhodes Foundation pillars include leadership, education, entrepreneurship, and reconciliation. So what do they look for? They look for, firstly, you need to understand what those pillars are. So in terms of education, do you have the drive or the aspiration to pursue higher education? So of course you've applied for a postgrad program, and the university that you do your postgrad has to be in South Africa. So they only fund for students who wish to study in South Africa. So how was your performance in your undergrad? Because for you to transition to a postgrad, you need to have decent grades. Let me say that. And then thankfully they are not so selective about the course that you want to pursue, because as scholars, I was from engineering, others are from gender studies. So with whatever field, provided you can demonstrate that with this higher knowledge that you get, you are able to transform it into a way that can be useful in your community. Like, how are you going to use your higher learning to contribute back to your communities? So that is the first pillar of education. The second pillar of leadership, being a leader, it doesn't just have to be, you're leading masses of thousands, but even in your small setting, in your university, are you developing something, like just being at the forefront of solving problems that face humanity? So that is the description of what a leader is. And then on the pillar of entrepreneurship, you should be able to demonstrate how you approach problems in the community, because problems are so many, ranging from, we have so many crises in Africa, health, we have education issues. So in your field, like, what interests you in these issues that we face, and how are you going to address them? And then the last one being reconciliation. Of course, peace is a very great factor for any development of a nation. But in terms of the Mandela Rhodes, they're not just looking at reconciliation from the macro perspective. Even as a person, do you know yourself? Do you know your identity? Things like those. And also in your community, how can you foster peace and understanding? Because those are crucial if you're going to become a leader for anyone anyway. So that is about it for the pillars. So as I said, the essays will be around those. And then, you need to prepare them and submit them in. And I think one of the pointers people should understand, I know ChatGPT is there, but when it comes to essays, I would always advise to make it as personal as possible. Write your own story. That way you can be unique, because ChatGPT will just be generic about everything. But if you're authentic, if you are able to tell what you can contribute, what you bring to the table, that is what will set you apart. And then another part of the application, you also need, 3 recommenders. So this can be academic, either your lecturer, your previous supervisor, if you've worked, say your manager or something like that. And so these recommendations need to be submitted in time, otherwise your application will be deemed incomplete. So what I would say, when you're starting to prepare your application, also notify the recommenders that you want them to help you in time, because most people will miss out because the recommenders, you inform them or you don't even remind them. People tend to forget. So keep them in check, remind them that the deadline is close and things like those. And always choose someone who you know personally, who can who can be your champion, who can tell your story, your capabilities. Yeah, so I would suggest that you have someone who also understands the aspirations that you have, because if you're applying for a postgrad, they should be able to demonstrate that this candidate has these achievements, and they'll also utilize the opportunity well. Because the Mandela Rhodes, during our cohort, they took 30 students from across Africa. So that was like 3 students from Kenya alone. So you see, the competition is quite high. So you really need to submit a good quality application. And then also another thing that helps, especially when it comes to essays, I'll advise people to write them like early. Do not wait until the last minute. And if possible, go through several rounds of reviews. Ask your friends to also help you review. That way you can know maybe there are basic mistakes that you're making, and those can be corrected. But be sure to make your story so personal. Like tell your own story. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay. And so how many so you guys were shortlisted, and then you went through the interview, then they selected, you said 30 across Africa?
Yes. So after the submission of your essays, there are 4 selection rounds. So after the first round, they review your essays, and then if you pass to the next stage, to the third stage, and then now you do. And nowadays, during our time, there was COVID, so we did a virtual interview. But I understand that if you're selected to the last stage where you need to do the interview, people travel to South Africa, and then you do a face-to-face interview. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the final stage.
All right.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you were selected? Were you pursuing other scholarships at the same time?
Yes. Also, another thing that I almost forgot is that once you're applying for a scholarship, also apply for your university hand in hand. Because if you get the scholarship and you don't have an admission, you won't be granted the scholarship. So it's also good to follow up on that. So at the time when I received the scholarship, yes, I had applied to many others in the UK, in other countries. And yes, I was really happy because it was really my intention to not only have my bachelor's degree, but also do a master's. And I understand that doing a master's outside Kenya can be quite expensive. So getting a scholarship that fully funds your tuition fee, they give you a stipend to live in another country. So all you need to focus on is your studies, your research. So that was a real breakthrough for me. And yes, I was so happy that finally I have the chance to firstly explore another country and also do what I love, because the University of Cape Town, to start with, is the best university in Kenya. They have good research facilities, which is also another thing that I would advise people who want to do a master's to look at, because you're not just doing a master's for the sake of it. You want to do a master's that will build your skills and will also help you to that will help you to advance not only yourself but also those around you. So it's not just about getting the qualification, but also the experience of it, what you learn, what you contribute is very, very important. That will make your journey very enjoyable, because a master's it's not easy. So you need really all the support that you can get. Yeah.
And it's good you mentioned about the application to the university. How was it applying to the uni? Is it relatively easy? Because some people say it's normally relatively easy applying to uni. I mean, some unis can be competitive, at least compared to the scholarship. How was it? Were you doing that on your own, or the scholarship helps you apply to uni?
No, you have to apply for the university on your own. So,
Okay.
yeah, for instance, the University of Cape Town, which I have experience with, the application is purely online. So that makes it easy. You just send your documents, they review if they need anything, but you need to ensure that your documents are certified. So you can get these at the university or with a lawyer or something. But yeah, the application process, as much as it can be lengthy, but it's very straightforward. You just need to follow instructions. If they ask you to upload your degree in this format, just follow to the last tip of instruction. I understand that some other South African universities may require, there's something called the SAQA certification, which is like your papers being certified in the South African system. But at the University of Cape Town, they didn't have that requirement. But if the application is online, it should be pretty easy. Yeah. But of course, for the prospective applicants, do not shy away from asking for help. If you know someone who's been through that university, yeah, just ask for help if you're stuck. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, you left Kenya. Which month did you leave Kenya for South Africa to Cape Town to start your masters?
I started my masters in March of 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that typically when people start, or is it in September? It depends on when the school starts.
I think school starts it depends with the courses that you do. So the faculty that you're in, so the admission differs. For engineering, it was around that March, though there are some who are pursuing electrical, they're gone in January. So there's no set time, but mostly until March. So from Jan to March is when school starts.
All right. Now you find yourself in Cape Town. No, it wasn't the first time you were leaving Kenya. You had left Kenya for the US, right? Sometimes back when you were in undergrad. Yeah, but was there when I was asking the guys who are studying in the UK, US, and the Western countries, they've been sharing like serious culture shocks. Was there any culture shock in South Africa? Things were fairly relatable.
I think for me, no, there wasn't any major culture shock. Maybe it's because it's just Africa, and also thankfully from the foundation side, you know some other scholars, so at least there are some people you may know to start with, and they have a good network in case you need anything, in case you have any questions, so they'll be there to support you into you settling well. But there wasn't any culture shock. I don't know. I was comfortable. I didn't know anyone in South Africa before, but it was pretty easy to settle in. Also, the university, like, considering this is a new system, they also have the facilities to help you, like, settle in. If you have questions to do with admissions and anything, you'll get all the help you need. I think when you're in a new place like that, just be open to asking, because there'll be always people it will be easier when you get the help, but don't struggle so much trying to sort things on your own.
Yeah, sure. I agree. Now, what were you studying? What were you mastering in?
So I did an MSc in electrical engineering, but my research focus is in telecommunications. Yeah.
Okay.
So at the university, you can either do power-related projects or telecommunications. So I focused on telecom, but my MSc is in electrical engineering.
All right. And you finished your master's, and you were like, master's is not enough. I'm doing a PhD. But tell us about your decision to do a PhD, and is it still funded by Mandela Rhodes, or is that now under a different scholarship?
Okay, so the Mandela Rhodes Scholarship, they only fund honors and master's studies. So an honors is like a 1-year program you do after your bachelor's, or you can do a master's, which is 2 years. So they do not fund for PhD programs. So regarding the research that I did, I was so fortunate to find good and very supportive mentors who are also my supervisors. So my project is about essentially trying to answer the question, what can 5G do for healthcare in Africa and beyond? So I did part of that project for my master's, where I deployed, like, you design and deploy 5G based networks. So 5G infrastructure is very expensive. But for me, I was looking at how can we have 5G networks in low and middle income countries. So in that, you're looking at stuff that are going to bring the deployment cost down while ensuring that these places are well covered by network. And it was also inspired by COVID. So during COVID, access to healthcare was very limited because people could not travel across. So how can we enable a doctor to remotely attend to a patient? Of course, network infrastructure is very central to that solution. So yes, so my master's, I focused on a telesurgery system. So as a proof of concept that if we have a 5G low-cost deployment, say in a very remote area, we can have a remote doctor guiding a surgeon in that remote place. And so, yeah, so the proof of concept went well, but that wasn't like the final thing that we wanted to achieve. So we have to go beyond a proof of concept to actually testing and validating this use case. So that's why I wanted to continue my research, and therefore that inspired me looking for to continue that work in a PhD program. So with the funding, it's by the Google. So there's a Google PhD Fellowship for Africa, which is it's a different scholarship altogether from the Mandela Rhodes. So Google has like themes in which they are interested in. So myself, I fit into the systems and networking theme. So you submit a proposal of a project that you want to do, and they evaluate it. If it's something that interests them, they'll fund your studies. So it's not only limited to networking. They also have computing. They also have AI, ML. They have different areas of research interest. So that is also another opportunity that students can have a look at.
Wow. Congratulations, because I know that is also super competitive, because I know many people apply for that.
Yeah, it's very competitive. Yeah.
All right. And at what stage are you in your PhD, and how is it so far?
No, I'm just starting. But since it's a continuation of the master's project that I did, only adding some factors, I feel it's a good transition. So far, so good. And also something that I would like to credit is you having supervisors or your mentors who are really supportive, because that makes the journey manageable. So I'm fortunate to have such supervisors. So because you need all the guidance you can get, and you need that guidance in a timely way. So so far so good. I'm happy with the progress that we are making, and more so I'm happy because of the impact that this project will make. Because currently we are looking at there's a remote place in South Africa, in the Kanavo on the Northern Cape, which is really rural. Like, the network infrastructure is so minimal. So for me, it is a very satisfying journey where, like, through this work, we'll be able to see the fruits of our efforts when these people can get access to these healthcare facilities that they currently lack. Yeah.
Almost like through telemedicine, powered by your network.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That is yeah.
Yeah.
That is deeply impactful, and I think your the infrastructure that you guys are bringing will cut across several sectors, medicine, and even like you mentioned, the access to internet and network in many places it's still limited. Yeah, so that is exciting. Yeah.
Yes, it is very exciting, and I hope it will not only be in South Africa, but perhaps other regions of Africa as well.
Yeah. Is that one of a kind project, or is there someone else already trying to do kind of the same thing, or you guys are pioneers?
We are actually the pioneers at the University of Cape Town. It's only that the project is big, so there is someone else who is working on teleaudiology, myself for telesurgery. There is someone else for remote clinics. So it's the first of a kind in Africa, and currently the University of Cape Town is the first institution, academic-based institution, to have these kinds of 5G experimentation. So it's really a good work, and I'm actually so happy to be a part of it. So I think that is also what inspires me and just drives the enthusiasm. Yeah.
No, marvelous. Where are you seeing yourself after the PhD? Like, if everything was to be kept constant, and you have and you have all the powers in the world, where are you seeing yourself in the next? Is it 5-10 years?
That is a very interesting question, because the first time I asked myself that question, which was just after my high school, I wouldn't have guessed I'll be here. In fact, I was just, let me finish my undergrad, get into the job market, and that's it. But life keeps surprising us in interesting ways, just that we need to be open to take opportunities as they come. However, first things first, yes, one of the things that I would like to see is our project not just being piloted, but being implemented commercially beyond South Africa. Yeah, that will be something that I'll be so proud of. I also wish to go to academia, and because our institutions, our academic institutions, are really where we nurture potentials. It's where we prepare ourselves for the future transformation. So if we can have educators who are interested in transformational education system, like how do we teach our students, how do we help them through research, how do we make their experience in the academic journey enjoyable and something that they can treasure in life. So I would also want to make my impact in those areas, and perhaps get into the industry, because clearly the technology industry is evolving so quick. Yes, and I would want to make my contributions there as well. Yeah.
All the best. I'm sure you will do all that, and even surprise yourself. And I agree with you. I think the question of where do you see yourself in 5-10 years, sometimes it's not a good question because things do change, but it's interesting to just see like where people where like the random ideas you have about your career in the next 5 years. Thank you for sharing, Maureen. So let's talk about I'm interested in as we had talked briefly, the women in tech. There are not so many women in engineering. Why telecommunication engineering? How did you find yourself? How were you interested in telecom?
So after my high school, I wanted to pursue dental surgery. So that's what I wanted. So the shift to engineering came in that I had a sister who was already in campus at that time. So, and she was telling me about these digital electronics courses that they are doing. So I looked them up, and they seem kind of interesting. Like, how do electronics work? How do communication systems work? So when I came across the telecommunication course during revision of courses, I was like, oh, well, let me explore this. So that is just, it's not like it's something that I wanted to do from a very, very young age, no. So it's just an interest that I got after my high school and I pursued. And it was really enjoyable because in the telecommunications course, there were electrical engineering, there was mechanical, there was control. So we had so many courses coming together. And then now in 4th year, 5th year is when you specialize. So for me, I went into the mobile networks, the current and future mobile networks path. Yeah. And that's where I am now because I still focus on 5G and hopefully the future 6G networks. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm curious. Why dental surgery? Like you said, you wanted to study dental surgery. Why? Like that is very particular. It's not like saying dentistry.
Yeah. So you see this thing whereby when you go to high school, they just say if you get an A, you need to either do medicine, law. Engineering is not so much for the women. But myself, to this date, I don't like the hospital environment. So I was like, let me just do something medicine-like, but not me being in the hospital environment the whole time. So that's why I was like, nah, I think dental surgery is the thing. So it wasn't really an informed decision, but I was just going by I can say the societal stereotyping because this is what we get to hear from a young age. Like if you get an A, this is what you do. Yeah, but I'm happy. Like telecoms and the whole engineering is working well for me. Yeah, so it's right, like you've said, like we don't have many women engineers who, let's say, others can look up to. But I think that is slowly changing because there was a time I could hear that someone says in an engineering class it was one woman against I don't know how many men. But right now we are slowly improving and embracing that women can also do it. I think this idea which existed whereby women are not so good in, say, math and sciences, it was a very misleading concept in the society, but I'm so glad that that is changing. Despite the fact that we are not there yet, because we still see the disparities. Like during my master's, I think we were only two ladies, and the rest were men. So we are not there yet, but yeah, I think with the mentorship programs that we are seeing around, with the supports that we see, because many people are offering to help other women to just come to sciences and explore this field, I believe the numbers will be better. And it's not just about getting into engineering. We want more women to get into engineering and to keep in engineering because others leave along the way. But yeah, we need to stay in it as well.
Yeah, I agree. Have you heard about the pipeline, the Leaky pipeline metaphor?
No, tell me about
analogy. It. The analogy. You've heard
tell
about
me about it? No.
Oh, so they say the problem, the lack of women in tech. It's not like there are not women in tech. It's just like the pipe is leaky. And
it's
so you have
somewhere.
like, it's leaking somewhere, and it's actually true because when you look at high school, I think I mean maybe there's still some the thing is still tilting, the science is still tilting towards the boys, but like generally you still find like girls excelling in maths and physics and sciences. In high school, and then they go to uni. Now we pursued engineering, and then as you continue downstream along the pipeline, the pipeline starts to leak somewhere. Because the leakages come from things like unsupportive policy, apparently long time ago, or even in some other places where they don't see a lot of women, you even find that there are no women bathrooms, or maybe like the maternity leave, or anyway, just general support you find down the line, or just like if you are the only woman in the entire organization, like there's a lot of burden to represent all the women, and at some point it's just a lot of burden, and people are bypassing you, they are not promoting you, and all those things. So anyway, I read the leaking pipeline analogy, and it kind of made sense. So hopefully the leakages can be repaired.
Yes, because we need support not only in the academic system but also in the workplace and these kinds of things. Yeah.
There is an aeroplane passing. Sure. I want you to talk about. We share same alma mater. So I wanted to speak to a student that is JQuat. I wanted to speak to, maybe let's just say, let me just generalize and say students who are currently in university, could be Kenya, in Africa, wherever, whoever is listening. When you look back to when you were in undergrad, personally, when I look back, there are so many lessons. Like if I was to go back to undergrad, oh goodness, I think it will be different. It will be slightly different. And I think everyone I've spoken to, they reflect and they see a lot of things that they can do differently if they were to start their first year undergraduate. There are some things, some lesson, one lesson, two lessons, pieces of advice that you can offer the guys who are currently in uni when you reflect back to your own journey?
Certainly. So first things first, my biggest encouragement would be to be diligent in their studies as much as they can. Surely grades matter. So if you have the opportunity, like just do your best and get the best grades that you can get. It will help you. Despite the course that you're in, just stay curious to know what other skills can you gain apart from what you learn in class. And for this, you can look out for events. There are so many events that happen that are either tailored to a course or not. For instance, myself, I used to attend these Google developers circles. I used to attend things on cybersecurity, and those were things that I wasn't necessarily pursuing them at that time. But it's just important to, if there are opportunities where you can get other skills, pursue them, because during uni there is more than enough time, really. It's also important to join any mentorship programs. For instance, myself, I joined Kamilimu. So Kamilimu is a structured mentorship program whereby they guide students like in so many aspects, like personal development, even professional development. Simple things like how do you even write your CV, how do you do public speaking. So you see these other skills that will help to put you out there, because it's not just enough to have a first class, but how can you also communicate to people? How can you assure that you have what it takes? Because out here it's really competitive. Another thing also, just also take up volunteer positions, things like those. If there's an outreach, say to a high school, they are going there to tell people about life in uni, things like those. Contribute to your community, even in the smallest ways. This will go a long way to equipping you with important skills, but also they add on to your CV, because you should not just bring the grades, but what is more, if we remove grades from your CV, what do you have? So things like those, and just pursue your academics, not for the papers. I always say that as much as you get the grades, also learn from the experience. Like cherish the experience of it. How does it build your resilience? How does it build, say, your time management? Even things like those. Those are things that you gain while you go through your campus. And also make good friends, because you cannot be a monopoly of knowledge or exposure. So make good friends who will support you as you support them, like people you can build each other if there are opportunities, because sometimes it's from your networks who know about this opportunity and they'll be like, oh, let me inform who and who. So it's important to make good friendships and also keep those connections even past uni. And also take advantage of the, if you have long holidays, maybe take an attachment or an internship somewhere that will already expose you to the industry perspective before you even finish. And it will be a smoother transition from, say, uni to workplace if you've had some experience with them before. And and that if after uni you're applying for, say, a scholarship or any other job, those small experiences will actually add on to the general outlook of yourself and will put you ahead. Yeah. So I think that's what I would say. Yeah.
I will not add anything to that, because most of the I think my lesson, the lesson that I normally, on reflection, I feel like I didn't utilize all the opportunities that the uni had, because I think I did more of grades, like I was doing more of grades. I'm happy that in addition I was also trying to explore my hobbies. But then, even apart from that, I think I missed out a lot, even on that opportunity to make friends. I didn't do intentional networking in uni, and I kind of regret. And yes, I wish guys in uni can take advantage of that, because those friendships and networking will go a long way.
For sure.
Yeah. So before J-Part, where did you do your high school?
I went to Kipsigis Girls High School. It's in Kericho County. Yeah. It was a very good and formative time there. Yes.
Yes. What is one highlight from Kipsigis? So I went to a school near Kericho, and we respected and adored Kipsigis. I think many girls in my school wanted to come to Kipsigis, and again, because it's competitive, many people didn't get a chance. So well done on that. What you said, it was formative. What is one thing you appreciate from high school?
Kipsigis Girls as an institution, it's good, as you say. It has its own reputation, and it's even getting better because now it's been elevated to a national school. But when I was there, it was still a provincial school. So apart from the fact that the school does well, I felt like the teachers who we had at the time, they were really invested in nurturing your capabilities as a student. So for instance, my highlight was when I was in Form 2. So during this time, I would pass in all the subjects except for chemistry, which I would get like 40-something, you see. But then there is this teacher who took it upon herself to actually sit me down and was like, so what is your issue? Because if you're getting all A's in the rest, when we do the average, you will get, a lesser grade just because of one course. So I felt like that investment that she put in me and the trust was so important that I just changed my attitude altogether towards chemistry, because I had this idea, chemistry is tough, nini. But from what she told me of what, like, you are capable of this, just read and revise, quiz yourself. She even gave me a structure of how to improve. So I felt like that was a very huge investment, and overall I ended up improving in that grade. And then also Kipsigis was also good with these extracurricular activities. So myself, I was in music, so it's something that I love to date, but it stemmed from high school. So I really liked my experience there, and that was it.
Nice. I want you to talk to the girls who are currently now in Kipsigis. They are ambitious and they are dreaming of big things. Now that you are an alumni, one advice you would give them if you were to talk to them?
I would say they have what it takes. Like, the resources are there. Honestly, it just takes a personal initiative to really want to succeed and to pursue that success relentlessly. So yes, you can fail, but you just need to fail forward. I would say fail forward because failures happen. But how can you take the lessons from it? You really need to be determined. And most of the effort anyway, when it comes to succeeding, especially in high school, it has to be from you. Like, yes, your teachers will be there, but you really need to put in the effort. You really need to be passionate about what you do, and nothing is so hard. Like, if you put in the work, the time, ask for help. Of course, like in high school, we even had our own discussion groups whereby if someone is good in these subjects, they would lead the rest. So that is the kind of resources I'm talking about. Harness that, your teachers as well. So there's more than enough, and they have what it takes, because by the time you're getting admitted to such a school, you had good grades in primary school. So it should not change. So just embrace the learning and have a positive attitude, and nothing is difficult. It's easy. Actually, you see, after high school, I went on to teach in a local school in my village. So, like, you could see these students, firstly, it's the attitude. So someone may say, just because I come from this local school, I don't have what it takes. But that is not it, because the books are the same. You just need to put in the effort. And actually, during that time, it was so personal to me, because education is something that I believed is going to set people apart. So actually, if you put in the hard work and just ask for help. If you're failing in something, there are people who are doing better. So ask them to help. And when you're helped, of course, also put in the effort as well.
Yeah, certainly. What's the name of the village?
My village.
We want to give your village a shout out.
Our village is Kipsigis village. Yeah, it's in Kericho County. So, and the school that I went to teach at that time, it was still a mixed school, so it was called Kipsigis Mixed. But nowadays, it's only girls, so it's Toror Girls Secondary School. Yeah.
Oh, which constituency is that?
Ainamoi constituency.
Okay. So, Maureen, so man, you've traveled very interesting. You've gone like through a steep ladder up your academic in your academics, yeah. So if you were to look back, this is the question I've been asking everyone, because also when I look back to when I was in the village, and then like exiting Kenya to bigger countries and cities out of Kenya, if you were to look back to when you were growing there, to where you are now, like changing the landscape in telecom, and bringing this revolution and an amazing innovation. If you were to just like highlight one lesson that you've learned, given the journey you've traveled.
For me, I would say what inspired me the most was the belief of the people around me. Like, my family. I don't know. I think for me, I was just any other normal girl. But from my primary school performance, I had people around me who would clap for me and, cheer me on. My dad, may his soul rest in peace, he was a teacher. So for him, he brought the wishes that he had for his students to home. So that was the greatest inspiration that I had. Otherwise, perhaps I would not have believed in myself as much as I did. So, the support system was good, and I don't know if I would say really hard work, because it took the effort, say, of my teachers to actually see the potential in me and nurture that and inspire that to grow. Yeah, because as I said, if you asked me 10 years ago, what would be your vision? It was nothing like this. And I would also emphasize on the diligence. Like, these opportunities are less. So once granted the opportunities, so it's so important for you to put in the work. Like, part of showing appreciation is you being diligent in the work that you do. And that way you'll find that other opportunities will just open up. You see, So that's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay, that is amazing. I'll not even add anything to that. As we are heading towards the end, and recently I've gotten these questions here that I want to also ask. I want to hear your perspective or your thoughts on it. So I was listening to a podcast by Adam Grant. Do you know Adam Grant?
No, I don't.
Okay, Adam Grant, he's it's called organizational psychologist. Anyway, so he's hosting a podcast, and he poses a question to the guests, and the question is, what are you rethinking in life? Like we grow up with all these ideas or ways of doing things, right? But then as we mature, we start rethinking things. Is there one thing that you would say you've been rethinking?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. What have I been rethinking? Yeah,
even the idea of success, right? Like some people say they are now rethinking the idea of success, because we grow up, we are told success is having money, having big and new models of cars and all this wealth and whatever. But now some people are saying they are rethinking the definition of wealth. Like wealth for them, for instance, would be being healthy, having good family relationship, etc. So that is an example. Some people say they are rethinking the idea of, so even for me, right? The other day I was just thinking that we were having this discussion with someone, and I think we were just rethinking the whole idea of career, that if you chose to pursue dental surgery when you were 18 years, down the line, if you change your mind and you want to do law, that should be accepted and celebrated, kind of thing. So anyway, so we were just chatting about how now we are like rethinking the whole idea of like how to go about career, etc. So anything you've been rethinking?
Yeah, I think for me it's the aspect of the impact of the society in one's journey, you see. So like we grow up, and of course everyone has the place of origin, and those places of origin actually inspire a lot of your ideas, how you feel about life, how you take life onwards. So there can be societal stereotyping in some way, and that of course may even affect people to their adulthood. But I think just the aspect of being home with yourself, like what really defines me as a person outside my family, outside my place of origin. What do you really want, you see? And that can be a very big thing, but what brings satisfaction to me? Of course, if you ask my family, perhaps their idea of success will be those. We want you to, say, drive this kind of car, have this kind of money. But if to me, my notion of an authentic life would be to bring these solutions to these people, that should be something that you hold on to and that you protect. Because at the end of the day, it will bring you the happiness and the satisfaction that you need. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Two last ones. The second one is if you when you look at the world right now, there are so many things that are like wrong, or that like they need to be addressed. If you had all the powers in the world and all the resources, what is one thing that you would like start changing immediately?
It will be how do we call it? I think equitable access to resources, you see, because I believe, or some people, or the experience that you have in life may not be really something that you direct, but what resources do you have access to? of course, that will either set you ahead or set you behind. So if there was a way to just develop all the regions that we have, because sometimes what pains me, say for instance, Kenya. So if you look at the marginalized or the less developed areas, these are people who lack the proper, maybe even access to basic things like education, healthcare. So you see, like that already sets them behind in how they experience general life. So if I had all the powers, to me, I would appreciate a situation where human beings live a dignified life. Like you have access to these things that can start you off to have a decent life. Things, education, good health care, like good attention, and just a comfortable a way in which you live a dignified life. So that will make sense for me.
And I agree. Now, last one is this is, I'm also borrowing this from a podcast that I was listening to, and
nice.
They were asking people what is the worst piece of advice you've ever received.
I think it was competing, the aspect of competition, like competing with others. Don't let others go ahead of you. I don't think that should be it, because we all have unique capabilities, we have unique potentials, we have unique gifts. So we should be aiming at improving ourselves. Like, how was the Maureen of 2015 versus the Maureen of 2024? Do you appreciate the journey that you've come through? What are the things that I've improved on? What are the things I've cut down on? Rather than me mirroring someone else, because that means, like, at some point I'll have to now be in their path and also just follow them. So I feel like we should embrace more of your authentic self, just aiming at being the best version of yourself and just having your own unique journey. I really like uniqueness, because I think we are all created, if you believe in creation, or we are all born with our unique selves. And if everyone comes in the community with their own unique selves, they can be able to contribute uniquely in their, you see, with their own capabilities. So yeah, let's just embrace our own unique journeys and be ourselves. Yeah.
Okay. Before we close, I also like, so what I'm also trying to do in this channel is to, I'm trying to showcase inspiring stories and inspiring stories of people like yourself, and then highlight opportunities for students and young professionals.
Yeah.
But also I try to make it authentic, in the sense that we are not just like we just don't have like long list of accomplishments. We've also failed, and so I'm like intentionally trying to also share about failure, about challenges that we've gone through. So if you were to look back, maybe academic journey, maybe career. I know we've talked a lot about accomplishments, but also, is there a failure or a challenge that you met somewhere along your journey that, like, kind of, like you felt like you failed, or it kind of affected your journey and you needed to, or rather you just like, it just shook you a little bit, but then maybe you overcame it, etc.
Yeah, because actually not everything that I've applied to have been successful. If anything, I've failed in a number of them. So yeah, there are instances where I've been lacking in skill, in experience, things like those. So the opportunities I actually missed out on, and when I ask for feedback, you'll get also another thing that is so important: always ask for feedback. Because when I apply something and I don't get it, I would really appreciate for the people to tell me where I lacked. That way you can be able to know where to improve in. So yeah, there are instances that I've missed out on big opportunities that I thought, I'm very qualified for. And some of them were either I lack a specific skill. And so over time, you just need to take that correction or criticism positively, because the next year, if I apply for the same thing, I won't be lacking in the same thing. So ask for feedback on your own self, and try to work on that feedback if it's something that really means a lot for you. For instance, in tech, as I said, technology is very diverse. So as much as I'm a good telecommunication engineer, there are other skills that are also needed. So just strive to build on the things that you lack on, and always be hopeful. Like, don't give up. These opportunities, sometimes you apply these, you get rejected, but take lessons from that rejection and apply to the next and apply to the next. That way you get better with application. Actually, with every rejection and you reapply again, you get better at it. So just take those things that you call failure positively and forge forward.
So if you have any last word for my audience, if you don't, we will just end there, and just to say sincere appreciation again for making the time. I'm not taking this for granted, so thank you.
Yeah, it was my pleasure to actually have this conversation and also a reflection with you. And I really hope that the audience, which is mainly students, will pick up some lessons. And they should just believe. I know we've said this many times, but it's good to believe in yourself and to also just ask for help. We are here if anyone needs help, if they're applying for something and they need reviews. It's good, just reach out. I'll be happy to look at it. And just don't lose hope. There are so many opportunities, so keep trying. There are so many scholarships. Keep trying, and just seek to improve yourself.
Thank you so much, Maureen. We appreciate you sharing your stories with us.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.